I'm Dr. Saiji. Welcome to Dr. Saiji Talks. Today, the remedy which we are going to discuss is Aurummet. As all of you might be knowing that Aurummet is that remedy which is being derived from gold. As the name suggests, as the source suggests, Aurummet is that type of personality who have this golden type of values. When thinking about the general physical constitution of Aurummet are sanguine temperament people with lovely eyes, with dry, restless hair, just like that of sulfur, and very lovely persons with a reddish face, ruddy face. It is said that it is the persons whose face seems to be very ruddy. When thinking about an Aurumet personality, what the most important thing that comes to our mind is Aurumet is a person who is very responsible, and Aurumet people are said to be very closed people. Why? Because they do not express their innermost feelings or express their inner feelings to the outside world. So it is very hard to understand about the inner feelings of an Aurumet person. So it is called that they are the closed people. They are very workaholic, very responsible, and most often they think that whether it is an officer or a staff or whoever it may be, he thinks that the whole responsibility of that work lay upon him. And he worked silently. He could not even imagine of failure. So, as a hardworking personality, as a responsible person, as a loyal person, as an honest person, as a person who have this type of moral values and principles, this is a person who is loved by everybody. If it is in an office, the boss loved him. The superior officers love him. Even the subordinates or the co-workers love him. And rather, he can be called as a perfectionist, just like that of as an arsenic amalgam person, as he might be knowing. He will try to become perfect in almost all of his duties. So what happens is the one negative aspect with regard to Aurumet is once that I told that he never expresses anything outside. And another thing is, this is a person who have intense intolerance to contradictions. Even though he is a lover person, he doesn't want to be criticized. That means he is a very sensitive person in all aspects, especially that sensitiveness is mainly seen on the mental sphere, sensitive to criticism. So as I said, this workaholic person takes over all the task and he do all the works. And when days go, what happens is, as an workaholic person, he will be interested with more and more work. That is the general practice which we could say. Whoever who works perfectly, or whether it is an office or an institution, whatever it may be, he will be interested with more and more work. So, again, he will try to do almost all those work with utmost sincerity. But as a physical human being, there are so much limitations. So what happens is, he will be tormented with this overwork. And he never used to criticize anybody else, or he never wants to find any fault on others. And he doesn't want to harm any others. So, as this workload when increases, he will not be able to perform up to the expectations of his boss or superior officer. The problem arises there. And what could be generally found in the case of Aurumet is, it is very hurried person, wants to do everything in a hurried man. This hurriedness and this unrevealing of the emotions, innermost emotions, all makes those turmoil. With the result, he gets sleepless nights. So when viewed from outside, everybody thinks that he is the most fortunate man because he has all sort of prestigious, all sort of money, power, position and everything. Everybody will think that he is a very fortunate person. but in the inner core, he is very gloomy, because when when he is not able to do or perform the work properly, he thinks that his life becomes useless. And the thinking pattern goes to such an extent that he even thinks that, why should I live like this? What is the use of living like this? If I live like this, it will not give any benefit to my society or my dear and dear ones. So from there, a loathing of life starts. The sleeplessness nights welcomes this person. So that can be the reason. It is said that, as I said, that he is a very person who is having a very ruddy face. He develops a sense of anxiety. See, he develops a sense of anxiety, especially with regard to heart. That means the heart symptoms develop there. So Aurumet is that person in which on many of the occasions he thinks that his heart even comes to a standstill. And with a sudden jerk, it rebounds us back, followed with a severe anxiety and palpitation. So if he consult another doctor, we can see that Aurumet is that person. He might be having severe blood pressure, high blood pressure or hypertension. And Aurumet becomes a very good remedy for hypertension. When on further examination, we could see that his cholesterol level may be increased, and it is a remedy for arteriosclerosis. So any patient with a BP or a hypertension, especially due to mental strain or loss of sleep, the remedy which we have to think of is Aurumet. There are so many other remedies. Even then, this is the most important remedy that has to be thought of. So Aurumet, as I said, that when his work is not met properly, he develops a sense of self-criticism. He is a duty-bounded person. When he finds some fault or failure in his work, or if any criticism occurs from any of the corners, he will think that whole his life has become useless. That is the thing. Yes, self-criticism. And that means self-criticism means in the sense that he thinks that he has committed some crime, or he has not fulfilled his job, he has neglected his duties. In this case, the pathology extends further. He develops many more problems. Most often he used to get headache, his hair falls off, and he will be having severe pain on his cheekbones. And what happens is almost all these pains and all these disturbances will be getting aggravated at night. Aurumet, a syphilitic remedy in which almost all these bone pains and all these pains will be getting aggravated. And Aurumet, especially the remedy in which all the complaints aggravate from sunset to sunrise, nightly aggravation. So it goes to a syphilitic stage in which there will be severe pain on the mastoid, and there will be severe discharge from the ear, and it becomes a very good remedy for chronic suppurative otitis media. So coming again to this Aurumet, when he finds that his life becomes useless, he gets a great loathing of life. And due to that loathing of life, he thinks that it is useless to live further. And he decides to end his life. But even then what happens is nobody could reveal or find his innermost feelings. We are not able to trace the innermost feelings. He may be walking around with his friends at that time also. He may be talking freely to his friends or the society at that time also. At that time also, we will not be able to guess that such a turmoil is going on within his mind. So what happens is, we could find that one fine morning, that fellow has committed suicide. Even though he has a great afraid to commit suicide, the person might have committed suicide. So that is the way it goes into when the loathing of life occurs, and he sees the dark side of everything. And after seeing this dark side of life, he completely decided to end the life. So this is what we could see in the case of Aurumet. But this loathing life, almost all these can be seen in many other remedies also. Natramure is a remedy which is having a profound grief. Suppose if it's an acute grief or acute grief, the remedy that we have to think of is ignatia, sudden grief. And if it is a chronic silent grief, we can think of natramure also. But when natramure, the difference what we could perceive is, or what we could see is, whenever we question or we interact with a natramure person, if it touches the core point or the vulnerable point, definitely natramure person will burst into tears. There will be a weeping disposition, and the physician or the dear ones can understand the problem of a natramure person, because even though the consolation aggravates the natramure person. But in the case of Aurumet person, just like a Calipicar person, as I told, that as it is a close person, the main problem is as if he is not ready to reveal the innermost feelings, where, as I said, we are not able to identify the inner crisis. And the suicidal tendency may be sudden. In the morning you might be seeing an Aurumet person talking with friends and walking all around. But the evening, when you might be shocked to hear that the same person who you found in the morning with very lovely and very energetic has committed suicide in the evening. So this type of suicidal tendency is something we could see in the case of Aurumet. Aurumet is a honest person and very religious also. Most often you could find an Aurumet, you will be misunderstood to differentiate an Aurumet from a person from a lachesis person by the appearance, because here this Aurumet or persons also is considered to be religious, to an extent religious, and you will be having that sense of almost all those religious marks maybe there on his forehead. So we will think that it can be a lachesis person, no doubt it may be an Aurumet person. And for about all, the main thing that we have to say is Aurumet persons, they feel eased or by hearing music and bhajans. So there is a religious melancholia in an Aurumet person. So for a time being, for a short period of time, their distress or the mind griefs, almost all these things can be will be getting ameliorated by hearing music. That is the only way by which this person the problems can be ameliorated. Even then, that it can progress if not properly counseled, or if it is not properly cared, the complaints can extend to such a drastic level. So this profound grief for the things that might be the reason it becomes a very good remedy for indurated uterus or the female complaints. Collapse of uterus or indurated uterus. Just like in a restless person, all these things happen when it reaches high up to grasp something from exertion. So that is the another thing. And Aurumet, to conclude, Aurumet is that remedy which is mainly used for all sorts of glandular problem also. So if there is any type of scrotal or testicular enlargement or atrophy, apart from this enlargement, it is seen that the testicle seems to be atrophied. So if it is there such problem, that also Aurumet will come into rescue. Anyway, as this great anti-syphilitic remedy, had a wide clinical utility, had a great clinical utility, and this is a remedy which has to be exploited more and more. Anyway, a personality, to conclude, what I have to say is, if there is inner turmoil, outer coolness. So Aurumet is that remedy in which is honest. To conclude, Aurumet is that remedy which is loyal, sincere, who works on principles, who has a moral value, who is a duty-bounded person, who is religious, who is having a great intolerance to contradictions, at the same time who doesn't want to hurt anybody. So it's a very sensitive person, very hurried person, very closed person. So this is all I want to mention about Aurumet. Thank you. Thank you all.